Support provided by Lafayette Travel, Red Stick Sports, and the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion.
Lots of games in action on Saturday, but the highlight one, if you will, would be the one that was played in prime time under the lights in Death Valley at Tiger Stadium. A sold-out crowd to see LSU, now number 20, host number 3 and undefeated Texas A&M. The coaches have press conferences every week, and on this Monday, leading up to the game Saturday night, head coach Brian Kelly of LSU was asked about the physicality that his team might be missing and what they need to do to fix it.
Listen, everybody, is going to look at this and has their opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion. But there's no doubt that anytime you evaluate your football team, the first thing you're going to look for is physicality.
And the Tigers looking to improve on it. What a scene at Tiger Stadium. There was a huge window with the weather because chance of rain in Tiger Stadium? Never. Sold out, and here we go. 3 plays into the game, was this a sign of things to come? Cassius Howell, no relation, obliterates Garrett Nussmeier on the sack for the loss of 9. A&M gets the ball, and it took them 6 plays to score. 2nd and 10, Marcel Reed sees an opening. Where are the white jerseys, Scott? Where's the defense?
This was a reminder of College Station a year ago where Marcel Reed burst on the scene.
Yeah, second half took over, dominated then, and dominated last night. Gets the touchdown, 41 yards out at 7-0. But the Tigers answer. Nussmeier to Trades Green down to the 5. Next lineup, Scott. 4 wide to the right, 1 to the left. Where do you think they're going?
Going to that one-on-one matchup, that's stealing right there.
That is stealing, that is for sure, because that is unstoppable at 6-7 for Trades Green for the touchdown, and we're tied at 7. But the Aggies come right back. 75-yard drive ends when Reed zips this one to KC Concepcion, 15 yards, and it's 14-7. Now, LSU would get a safety, makes it 14-9. Watch Nussmeier, and you can see what he sees, and he drops this dime to Berrien Brown, 41 yards on the completion. Now, 2nd and 7. When we switch, he takes it into the end zone, touchdown. The point after is missed, so it's 15-14 when Harlem Berry gets into the end zone. LSU adds a field goal, makes it 18-14 at the half. Wish the game would have ended at halftime, but for LSU, it did. Opening drive of the third quarter, Reed takes it himself. That's his 2nd touchdown. LSU goes 3 and out, and then they punt. KC Concepcion goes left, but he wants to make the highlight reel again, and he does. 79 yards on the return. Takes it all the way to the end zone. Now it's 28-18. So, Scott, in the span of 1:41 seconds, you went from up 4 to down 10.
It flipped. It flipped really fast. And big plays, especially in the special teams game, will do that.
Yeah, it happens fast, and then it got worse. After a 34-yard punt, the Aggies went 50 yards in 4 plays. There was a touchdown to make it 35-18. LSU had 14 yards in the quarter. Second play of the fourth quarter, Aggies scored another touchdown. It's now a runaway, officially. Midway through the fourth, Jamarian Morrow, again, 11 yards, 49-18, and that's the mood of every Tiger fan. But they would keep fighting for Michael Van Buren, who came into the game because Nussmeier was just getting beat up. And Van Buren rolls out. Watch the catch here by Kyle Parker. Back of the end zone, 1 foot, bring that ball in. Concentration, the stands are empty, but he didn't stop. Great focus there. But that's just one highlight in the second half that was full of nothing but Aggie highlights. And Texas A&M comes in and makes a statement. 49-25. They outscore LSU in the second half, 35-7, and it's the first win for Texas A&M in Baton Rouge since 1994. The Aggies stay undefeated. The Tigers fall to 2-3 in the conference, and now they have a bye week to stew on this one before they go to Tuscaloosa for their next ball game. As you can imagine, a very disappointed Brian Kelly.
Nobody's more disappointed than our football team. And the performance in the second half was certainly the most disappointing part of this game in itself. So, don't have much to add other than what we saw. So I'll open it up to questions.
If the guys are indeed playing hard as you say and believe, then what do you think is sort of missing with this team at the moment in terms of the execution piece of things?
Yeah, I mean, all of those things are the ones that I'm going to have to figure out for our football team. Because if guys are playing hard, and I know they were, and they prepared their tails off this week, and that's not happening, that's a football issue. And the football buck stops with me. And I have to take a good hard look at what we're doing, how we're doing it, both from a personnel standpoint and from a coaching standpoint.
Coach, not to get caught up in the moment, but a game like this will have big picture questions. A lot of your fan base is very upset. What would you tell them right now, and can you come back from this year and altogether?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, this is an extremely disappointing night, right? And the fan base, our fans are disappointed, like any fan base would be, whether I'm here at LSU or any other school. The head coach, it stops with the head coach. And so that responsibility falls with me. But this is a proud tradition, LSU. They have a proud football team, and the guys that represent us. And like I said, those guys, I was with them. They prepared their tails off this week. They expected to win. They did that by their actions in the first half. It didn't show itself in the second half, so I have to look at the reasons why. So my focus really, Jacques, will be much more on inside out than outside in. And I get it. There should be noise. You should be disappointed. I'm disappointed, but I have to really focus my time inside out the program so we can make sure this never happens again. I would just be giving you lip service right now if we weren't going to be committed to getting this football team better and having them have better outcomes than tonight. Our fan base should be upset. They have every right to be. That second half was unacceptable at any level. And I've got to figure out the ways that we can get our football team to play better football consistently, not just in spurts, but for 4 quarters. Thank you.
It was about a 30-minute wait before Brian Kelly came out to meet the media following the ballgame. Scott, there are so many avenues we could go down, and we only have an hour show. We've got 8 more teams we need to cover. So I'm just going to kind of open it up to you and just ask, where would you start with the focus? Because he talked about the second half being abysmal. Look, in the first half, as many mistakes as they might have made, you still had the lead at halftime. You lost 35-7 at home to Texas A&M. Where would you start? Where would your focus be first?
Well, I think first and foremost, the strength and conditioning part of it looked like Texas A&M just kind of wore LSU down. But as a defensive guy, there's definitely an out-of-sync attitude on this defensive side of football. And it started to emerge last week at Vandy, and it really showed its head last night in the second half. It looks like a disjointed defense where guys aren't quite sure who's supposed to be doing what job. And so to me, I disagree with Coach Kelly with the effort part. I don't see all-out effort, especially on the defense side of the ball, just all 11 hats to the ball. I think this defense is really missing Whit Weeks defensively. He's the heartbeat of that defense. He gets everybody kind of lined up, gets them going. So defensively, everything spiraled out of control last night, that being said. But still, offensively, you're kind of sitting around waiting for this offense to figure it out. Yeah. And 278 yards a week after Arkansas just put 568 yards up on A&M, that's got to be frustrating. And oh, by the way, the biggest stat in football, turnover takeaway margin, you won it. You won 2-0, and you still got blown out at home. So there's a lot of things to be concerned about. On
the offensive side, Garrett Nussmeier came out late. Brian Kelly said during his press conference, look, there's no need to keep him in, and he was getting beat up. And that's because A&M's defense was all over him in terms of sacks in this ballgame. How about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sacks for A&M's defense against LSU, 5 in the second half. That was Howell's sack right there in the very first series, third play in, as he blows by his man and just hammered him from behind. But it wasn't even just that one, Scott. There was so many ways they got to Nussmeier. They were bringing 4 coming into him. They just kind of sat back because the pressure was on. But while we look at the sacks, it leads me to something else that I want to ask you, because it seemed like LSU settled for this game when the running game wasn't doing bad in the first half, but then Harlan Berry touches it one time in the second half, and it was 1 carry in the third quarter. LSU finished with -8 rushing yards in the second half. So on the big picture, they're coming after Garrett Nussmeier because you're not running the ball. So we're just going to tee off on you.
Yeah, and by the way, you got a young left tackle out there. You're putting him one-on-one, not helping chip block, and you're letting your quarterback get hit in the back on the blind side. There's a reason why left tackles in the NFL are making $20 million a year. You got to protect that quarterback's backside. So you have a young guy out there. You got to help protect him. But I agree with you. When you look at Caden Durham and now Harlan Berry, that's as good a two-headed tandem as you're going to see in college football. There is no reason why those guys shouldn't be getting more touches. And I know Coach Kelly said in his press conference, to be fair to him, the game started to get out of control. So that's why you're not turning around handing the ball off. But before the game starts getting out of control, you have a way to continue to wear down Texas A&M with two really good running backs.
Yeah, you had an 18-14 lead, and you only handed it to your best running back one time. The other issue, and you hear coaches talk about all three phases, special teams. And that was a problem Saturday night as well for LSU. We never see Ramos miss an extra point, Scott, but he did here early on. He stoinks one off of the upright, but that was just a sign of things to come because really things got bad in the second half. We saw the 79-yard punt return that the Aggies had from Concepcion, and here it is this is the kickoff return. This kickoff return went almost 50 yards to help set up a touchdown. Then LSU got the ball back. When they went 3 and out and had to punt, that's the punt return, and within a minute and 41 seconds, all of a sudden, you're down 10.
Yeah, and special teams is often the forgotten phase of football, but we've said how many times, anybody who watches our show, we talk about hidden yardage all the time. Well, these hidden yardage are actually leading to points. It's tough to overcome. Punt returns for touchdowns, giving up 7 points. There's a reason, this game was even going into the game. They like the talent matchup between both these teams, but when the special teams doesn't perform and the other team's scoring points and getting that type of field position, it's just tough to overcome.
Yeah, it was just way too tough for LSU to overcome overall, and now they have one more week to think about this one before they get set for their next ball game, first weekend in November in Tuscaloosa against Alabama.